Hey guys. Okay, so obviously there has been a lot of chatter recently about the housing affordability crisis. As a result, we've naturally seen a massive step up in the number of inquiries we've received from people who are looking to build a second dwelling on their property. Now, I'm not talking about a granny flat, aka secondary dwelling as it's defined under the planning scheme. I'm talking about a full-sized independent dwelling. Now, when I get these inquiries, my natural reaction is just like, oh, guys, do you even understand how much these things cost? I mean, infrastructure charges alone, they're 30 plus K. And everyone naturally is just like, infra what? What are you talking about? So I thought, hey, in this week's video, let's provide a high-level overview as to what infrastructure charges are. That way, when I receive these inquiries in the future, I can be like, guys, got a video for you. It's going to explain everything you need to know at a high level. So today we're going to look at firstly, what are they, when are they charged, and how do you calculate them? So let's start with the what. Infrastructure charges used to be called headworks charges. So back in the day, they were called headworks charges. The name changed. It's now infrastructure charges. They're also commonly referred to as a cost of development because it's a cost that you incur when you go to develop. Funny that, hey? So basically, it's money which, within Brisbane, goes to Brisbane City Council and Queensland Urban Utilities, and it goes towards the maintenance and upgrade of infrastructure. So we're talking things like water treatment plants, sewage treatment plants, park facilities, bus facilities, ferry terminals, all of that basic community sort of stuff. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are just going to be like, oh my goodness, council, they're so greedy. Do they understand how much this stuff costs? Blah, 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 blah. Let's be honest. Let's take it back to basics for a moment here, guys. 99% of the time, if you're developing it, you're doing it because you want to make a profit or you want to improve your asset. In super simple terms, the only way that council can pay to maintain and upgrade these facilities, which they need to do as extra pressure is added on, think about it. The minute you're putting extra stuff, nice term there, stuff through these sewage pipelines, you're going to need to maintain them more frequently. You're going to need to upgrade the capacity sooner rather than later, etc., etc. So yeah, if you're putting extra pressure on these loads, these lines, they need to be maintained and upgraded more, or maintained more frequently, upgraded sooner. The only way council can fund that is through ratepayer money. And it's not exactly fair to hit ratepayers up for that cost when you're making money or profit or an asset, you're improving your asset as a result of the works. Like, kind of doesn't work that way, guys. So yeah, it's money that goes to, like I said, Brisbane City Council and Queensland Urban Utilities to maintain and upgrade existing infrastructure as you put extra load on that infrastructure. Now, when are they charged? Well, they are conditioned as part of a development application. And I always say to people, the money's always better off in your bank account rather than council's, so you typically sit on the money and hold out until the last second till you're ready to finalise the development before you pay that money. There is one exception to the rule. The infrastructure charges increase every end of financial year. So if you're in a situation where you're like, look, I'm going to pay it within a couple of days post end of financial year, within the new financial year, you might want to consider bringing it forward a week or so just to make sure that you tap into the lower rates. So basically beat the price rise by paying sooner. Every other situation, pretty much you're going to sit on the money until it's due at that final sort of hurdle. So that's the when are they charged. Next is how are they charged. Okay, so I mentioned before they're called headworks charges back in the day. Back in the day, it was the most complex, painful system. You had a separate charge for every different type of infrastructure. So there was a sewage and water charge, there was a parks charge, there was a transport charge, and the charges varied from area to area. So I remember like in Milton, they were planning to put the ferry terminal in. As a result, the transport charge for that area was higher because they had to find the money to put that terminal in. Or if you go areas like Bracken Ridge, where potentially there's not that sewage infrastructure, the sewage charge was higher because they're like, well, we've got to fund the construction of these lines somehow, guys. So yeah, when you purchased a property, you had to go, okay, what are the different charges for this specific area? Oh, that's high. I'm going to walk away. I'm not going to do it. Or, oh, that's nice. I can handle that one. And then you go ahead. It was just all kinds of messy. I personally hated doing those calculations. Now it's very, very simple. The state government has set a cap that goes across all of Queensland. So when it comes to 1 into 2 lot subdivision, you're looking at just over 30 grand as an example. Or when you're talking about shops, you're talking about roughly $200 per square metre. So they're fixed numbers. Now, each council can choose to set the number slightly lower, so there's that upper limit cap. They can take it down lower. Generally speaking, people go as close to the cap as they can because obviously they want to recoup as much money as they can to put into this infrastructure. But you will find certain more regional councils will go a little bit lower than the metropolitan ones. And the reason being those regional councils are trying to compete for the investment within their localities. So if you go areas like, I don't know, you go Ipswich or Moreton Bay, you might find their numbers, not Moreton Bay, but yeah, you might find the more regional ones, the numbers are slightly lower than in comparison to Brisbane City Council, because Brisbane City Council is like, we know we don't need to compete for your money. We know you're going to come here naturally. So that is how are they charged, and credits, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. So you do get credits for existing uses. If we use the example of a 1 and 2 lot subdivision, you're not paying 2 lots of $30,000. You're paying for 2 lots of $30,000 minus the existing lot, which is $30,000. Round numbers gives you another $30,000. I think that's probably everything I need to tell you guys about at a high level. So yeah, what are they? They're a cost of development. When are they charged? They're a charge as part of a development application, payable before the application work or the proposal is finalised. And how are they calculated? They are set numbers that increase at the end of each financial year. Maximum limits set by the state government, but each council can go slightly lower if they choose to. Really, they don't. I think that's basically it. I think that covers off everything I want to talk about today. As I always like to say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number 2, Brisbane Town Planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.